All right. So the first part, it's imperative that you kind of get some kind of visual organization going on here. So we're going to put markers in here. Um, and we've talked about this. You're going to find markers either here, right, or my arrow, my cursor is moving around, all right, and it'll have a drop down box. If you can't find that box, if it doesn't show up on your screen, you can always go over to track and then go to global tracks, and it can say show global tracks, which is the same thing. These are the global tracks, and what the global tracks really mean is that they're going to have information that will be affecting the entirety of your session. In this case, you can kind of see where we have the tempo. If I wanted to make tempo changes, this would affect everything in the track. If I started at 116 BPMs and then started making, different, fluctuations in tempo, it would affect how fast the music would actually be playing. Time signature as well. And they recently added this one that's called chords. And by the way, if you wanted to go in and configure the global tracks, there's a button that can say, "Hey, I want to see the arrangement. I just want to see my markers. Maybe we were scoring a film and you wanted to put a movie in there. You can do that." Um, but we don't need. I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to take away chord track. We're going to keep 4/4 time, and this tempo is going to stay locked in at 116. What we want is to establish markers. So, if I'm not mistaken, um, every time you have the playhead, and let me zoom out a bit for a second here. Let me zoom out. Da, da. Cool. So wherever your playhead is, will will dictate where the marker will be placed. I know at this on this song we have an intro, and you can double click, call it intro. If you wanted to make this a different color, right, you can go Option key and C, and it pulls up the color palette, and you can make the first part red. All right, great. I'm gonna leave the color palette up there. If I'm not mistaken, the verse is going to start here at bar 9. Notice how I moved my cursor over here. I'm right at bar 9, and when I hit marker over here, I get marker number 2. I'll call this verse, and the vocals actually come in here. Vocal in, right? Now, depending on how detailed you want to be, I believe this is like a double verse. Back in the old days, I think people had attention spans, and they can kind of, they wouldn't mind 16, 16 bar verse. For that matter, they wouldn't mind an intro either. But once again, you can see where my playhead is right on bar 17. 8 measures after that, I can say, let's see, click on, double click, verse, continued. Cool. All right, 8 bars after that. If I'm not mistaken, this is called the pre-chorus. There's a pre-chorus in this song. You really wouldn't know it if you listen to it, but this is what the form is. We're gonna call this pre-chorus. Pre-chorus. I mean, check, and then I'm gonna move over here and do a. I believe it's a 12 bar pre-chorus. So just to make sure we're cool. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. And the chorus is starting right here at bar 37. And the chorus, I'll even put this in parentheses. You don't have to do this, but 16 bars. So if I zoom out, I got a clear, concise picture of what my form is going to be. I have an intro. Sorry about that. I have intro. I have verse in. The first half of the verse, 8 bars, plus another 8 bars. That's going to be, let's see, 16, if I'm not mistaken. And the pre-chorus, I'll be a little more specific. We'll call that 12 bars. Right. Now, The reason why I'm putting this in is that this drum track that you guys are going to be working on, you might want to put little fills in to connect the transitions between section and section. Because if you listen to the original record, whomever's playing drums, it's a pretty straightforward beat. Um, and maybe you want to put a cymbal splash at the beginning of the chorus. Bam, it lets you know that we're in the chorus. Maybe you want to give me a little time feel, every 8 bars to signify that you're transitioning to maybe a different section. Maybe you want to get creative and add a little tambourine part on the chorus or maybe the pre-chorus to kind of pick things up. But you kind of need this stuff for just to make sure that you understand where you are in the song. So if you want to start adding things and working on transitions to make it a bit more exciting, rather than the dull loop that the song really is. And actually, with this song, having it be dull is part of the character of the song. It's kind of dronish because it's only 2 chords. So let's add the markers there for visual purposes so you know where everything is. Okay? The next video, we're going to move to the drums and how you're going to be treating the drums. It's going to be very basic. All right?